Hello, my name is Ellie Gettinger, and I am the Education Director at Jewish Museum Milwaukee. And today we are back for part 2 of our Golda Meir series. Yesterday was Yom HaAtzmaut, and we thought this would be a great week to tell the story of Golda Meir, who came here as a 8-year-old girl and was educated in Milwaukee. And one of the things that I think is the cornerstone of her ability to become a leader, a world leader, is the fact that she had this American education. So yet last time we really focused on that early education. And one of the wonderful things about doing things live is that I'm like just getting things out there as quickly as possible, trying to fit into my 10-minute time frame, sometimes more successfully than others. And the greatest thing is that I'm actually getting feedback, sometimes in real time. So feel free to throw things in the chat, but other times afterwards. And so I have a correction to make as given to me by Dan Lee, who is a local history librarian for the Milwaukee Public Libraries and the Humanities Department there. And I said that the article that I had about Golda and the American Young Sisters Society, that it was from the Milwaukee Sentinel. It was actually from the Milwaukee Journal. Since then, he has found us a bunch of different citations about this, including an earlier citation from the Milwaukee Journal, in which it looks like the school is saying, hey, we don't really want you guys to do this money-raising thing for us. So it's interesting that even though she was maybe chastened a bit, that Golda persevered and kept going at it and making this fundraiser anyway. So that added a new element to this story. And I'm really excited about some of the directions that their research sent me on. Today, we're looking at Golda, her parents. And I think for all of us with kids in quarantine, we're going to get this story. Golda had an interesting relationship with her parents. She was super invested in school. And they didn't really feel that school was that important for a girl. They thought, you'll get schooling, that's fine. But really, it's more important to make sure that the family is financially successful and that eventually you're prepared to be a wife and mother. And they were really kind of nervous that her schooling might impede her future matrimony, her matrimonial prospects. So one of the things that happens when she first comes to the United States is Golda's mother opens up a little grocery in their apartment. They move around a lot. One of the questions I get all the time here is, where did Golda live in Milwaukee? MPL sent me a bunch of different addresses. Many of them we had. But I think the thing that it's clear is that the family was not financially doing great. And part of the reason is her dad never really established himself as a carpenter or sign painter or anything he was doing here. So her mom is supplementing the family's income with a small grocery in the front of their house. And Golda is expected to stay in the front of that in that grocery while her mother is going to Commission Row down in the 3rd Ward to get produce. But this means she's late to school every day, and she hates it. She hates that she's walking in the middle of lessons. She hates that she can't just get to school and be at school and be a kid. And it comes to a head finally when a truant officer comes in and says, hey, she has to be at school on time. And her parents concede and let her be in school on time. After she finishes 8th grade at 4th Street School, which is now Golda Meir School, she ends up getting into this big fight with her parents. Their sense is, it's time for you to get a job. Let's start thinking about finding you a match. She would have been about 14 at this point. Having someone married off by 16, not so unusual. And she basically says no and does what she wants to do. I think a lot of us were either teenagers like that or can respect a teenager who says, no, I'm going to get my schooling. And so what she did was she enrolled herself in North Division High School and started going. Everything would have stayed pretty normal until her mother kind of announced that she might have found a match for her. Now, Golda at this point is 14 or 15. She's not ready for that. And so she organizes with a group of her girlfriends to get out of Dodge. And Golda had a large circle of friends. And we saw that picture of the Little Sister Society. She had so many friends. I know that that last time we had Rona Wolf and her grandma was in this circle, that there were a lot of people who were in this big circle of Golda's friends. and they pooled their money together, and they were able to buy a ticket. And Golda took that ticket, that train ticket, and she ran away to Denver, Colorado. And I just think about how far Denver is. It's a, several hour plane ride today. It's, 15 hours of driving, if not more. And Golda's doing this in a time without cell phones and, limited ability to communicate. She is really disappearing. So the question remains, why Denver? Denver was the destination of choice because her sister Shayna was there. Now, everyone remembers Shayna's the reason they left Russia to begin with. Shayna had been the radical revolutionary and had been dating this guy, Shammai Korngold, and they're all, and one of the many reasons that they left Russia was to get out of Shayna's political activity. Shayna had tuberculosis, and she ends up in Denver at the National Hebrew Hospital for their high altitude clear air cure. Great. You're in Denver. It's going to be excellent. Now, interesting coda to the Shammai Korngold story is that he actually comes to Denver and they get married. So this is the house where they lived. This is now a museum, and it's actually part of the Golda Meir Center for Political Leadership at Metropolitan State University in Denver. This house was set to be destroyed in the 1990s, and a group of volunteers and philanthropists committed to buy it and then restore it. And it's now the half that was her family's duplex is now a museum with Golda Meir memorabilia. I look forward to seeing it next time I am in Denver. And this is her brother-in-law. This is Golda, and the lady is Golda, and her brother-in-law, Sam Korngold. He changed his name in America. And one of the things that happens for Golda in Denver is that her sister has continued some political activity. She's hosting all sorts of kind of salons, I would call them, on the isms of the day. Communism, socialism, Zionism. And for Golda, this is her introduction to Zionism. It's not an immediate, easy introduction. It's not like Shayna's like, here, yeah, let's have you involved in this. Initially, Shayna's sense is that this is too much for her American sister. Remember, at the same age as Golda, Shayna's trying to overthrow the Tsar in Russia. But a 15-year-old in America, she can't manage these things. She needs to go to sleep. She needs a good bedtime. So the only reason Golda is allowed to stay up for these conversations is because she volunteers to wash the dishes. And that's her introduction to Zionism, which becomes her driving passion from this point forward. After a couple of years in Denver, she and her parents get on the same page and they say, fine, come back to Milwaukee. We'll let you finish high school. We're not going to interfere with this. And she does. And actually, one of the things that we have, and I believe this is from the Milwaukee Public Schools collection, is this is her high school transcript. You can see she's a good student for the most part. I will say that her botany score and her drawing score leaves something to be desired. My Russian great-grandfather would have been horrified by those. But, this is, she continues and finishes at North Division High School. But she becomes a political force in this time period. She starts speaking on street corners. She starts organizing letter writing campaigns, all for the idea of making a Jewish state in the land of Israel. Now, this picture comes up every year around Hanukkah, where people show Golda with her lit menorah. This would have been from a tableau where they were illustrating the idea of the Jewish rebirth, showing the past, present, and future of, a Jewish state in the land of Israel. And this is one of many of the local community activities that she did. She ends up briefly going to Milwaukee Normal School. And you can see Goldie Meibovich, and her father's name is Morris Meibovich. And again, good scores all around. I'm impressed that she made it to German 5. And in doing this, this is one of those ways in which Golda continues to make sure that she is educated, that she is getting what she needs, and she's really establishing herself for the next stage of her life, which we will talk about in our next session. I wanted to show one more thing, and I have to get my screen to the right place to do it, that I got today from my friends at the public library, from Dan at the public library. And it is an amazing document that shows Goldie was a substitute librarian. It's pretty faint, but this is a hiring record from the Milwaukee Public Library. And you can see it says Goldie Maybovich. Miss Maybovich called on Friday. She is a good person for the library work. And she was at one point a substitute librarian in MPL. I just love that we can always learn new things and we can always add new things to our collections. So with that, I'm going to leave it till tomorrow when we pick up again with Golda and her political career, starting with her immigration to Israel. That'll be at 2:00 tomorrow. I hope everyone can join me again. Feel free to share with your friends. If you've loved these, you can make a donation at jewishmuseummilwaukee.org. Thanks and have a great afternoon.